Kaylee Holt, and my recorder is going to scan my audience. My speech is called My Guide Dog and Me. My purpose is to inform my audience how a guide dog can help me to live an independent life. I am a guide dog handler. Can you only imagine breaking your left ankle 4 times, your right ankle 5 times, your left leg, and your right wrist all before the age of 18? Well, that was me. In my speech, I will inform my audience about the guide dog school I chose, the application and training process, and the many ways that a guide dog has helped me to live an independent life. First, I will inform my audience about the Guide Dog School for the Blind. The school is one of the top 3 in the nation. They have 2 locations in San Rafael and Boring, Oregon. The school is a non-profit organization. The mission is to have dogs be trained for guides for World War II veterans that came home blind. The school was started in 1942 in a rented house. They relocated in 1947 in San Rafael, California. I am a visually impaired person, and I am totally blind in the dark. I used a white cane to the age of 20. A white cane is a tool that helps the visually impaired and blind to identify to the public that they are visually impaired and blind. This white cane is a tool that helps the visually impaired person travel safely and independently. However, in my case, the white cane did not help me because I am a very fast walker and was not safe to my independence. When I lived in Daytona Beach, I fell off of a 6-foot embankment, and I knew at that time that I needed a guide dog to live independently. Guide Dogs for the Blind, Harnessing for the Power of Partnership, 2015, web, 4 October 2015. Next, I will inform my audience about the application and training process. I applied 2 years before receiving my guide dog. I applied at www.guidedogsfortheblind. After I received a phone call from Guide Dogs for the Blind, after I sent in my medical records, at this time I was called to come out for my training. They came to my residence to see how tall I am, how fast I walk, and see my independence. Then I was called to be a guide dog handler in San Rafael, California. Then they came out to observe my independence one more time. While I was out in San Rafael, California, I learned that as the handler, I have to know my location and my surroundings. The dog does not know where to take an independent, visually impaired person to the location. I have to know how to travel safely and independently in my community. I have to know to tell Evan the commands to travel safely and independently. I will introduce my guide dog, Evan. Evan is a Labrador Retriever. He is 85 pounds and 3.5 feet tall to fit to my 6'1" frame. Evan is also 7 years old. I am responsible for his safety in the weather environment such as heat, snow, and rain. This is his rain jacket.
What is it made of?
I am also responsible for his pads and the heat and the snow. There are 2 different sizes. His front paws are much bigger than his back 2 paws. One is red, one is black. There are 2 different sizes so I can feel. If his paws are damaged, he can no longer be a working dog. American Foundation for the Blind, Some Misconceptions of Guide Dogs, 2015 Web, 4 October 2015. Finally, I will inform my audience about many ways that Evan and I live independently in my community. Evan has been trained to take me to curbs, intersections. On my picture board are many examples how Evan and I can live independently. We go to work, we travel, we've been to 24 different states in a vehicle, in an airplane. When I go volunteering twice a month, I take Evan with me. I live off of the river, so I go to the dock and I can feel safe out on the dock. Those are just some examples that Evan and I travel safely and independently. Evan is also an awesome companion. He even lets me know when someone is at the door. Lane Glenna, Looking Out for Sarah, 2001, Charles Bridge Publishing, Watertown, Massachusetts, print. In conclusion, I told my audience the many ways that Evan and I can live independently and safely. The application and training process, the guide dog school that I chose. Evan and I can live independently and safety in my community. I tell people that Evan and I are just like everyone else, except I cannot drive. Does anyone have any questions?
Somebody in the back?
I have a question. My name's Ashley, and at what age will Evan retire?
Evan will retire from the age of 8 to 12 years old. At 9 years old, the Guide Dog School for the Blind will come out to evaluate his and my partnership to see if he can be a working dog. Still, at that time, they will help me to retire him if he can no longer be a working team. Any other questions?
When you do retire, Evan, where will you live?
There are 5 ways that Evan could be retired. One could be myself, but in my case, I'm looking into getting another guide dog, so that would not be fair to Evan or the other dog. Another way could be a family member. Also, a friend of my family could take him in, or I could contact his puppy raisers to see if they would like to have him, or I could contact Guide Dogs for the Blind and they could help me find a retirement home for him. Any other questions? Thank you.
Oh,
I'm Maurice.
what do you mean by the dog paw be damaged? Do you know?
His pads, he has 4 pads. So the pads, if they get cut or damaged, he can no longer be a working dog. Like if I take him on an escalator and the escalator can hurt his pads, then he can no longer be a working dog.
And what caused that to happen?
It could just be the heat, it could be the snow, it could be an escalator. So I try to avoid going on an escalator. And if I go out in the heat, I check the weather environment to see if I need his shoes or if I can just use him as a normal dog without his shoes.
To make sure that the pad is not overheated or temperature.
So what are some very common commands that you work with him on and do use on a daily basis?
Some of the commands that I use is forward, left, right, halt. I have to drop the harness to turn around. Because there's been some times where I've been in a very tight area and Evan and I together as a team are over 9 feet tall. So there's been some areas where I've had to move Evan so I could fit in the spot than I've had to walk behind him or in front of him. Because it's not a lot of space in some environments.
Thank you.
Thank you.